Okay. It might be working. Lord, I don't know what was going on. I am so sorry, y'all. I don't know. I had this like thing where I'm trying to do it on my Facebook, I mean on my Zoom so I could share my screen, but for some reason it was just being really, really weird. So I apologize, y'all. What's up, y'all? Happy Tuesday. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. Again, really interesting. I don't know what was going on with the live, but we're here. We are a go. Things are going, so we can stop stressing about it and move forward. um, so y'all should know something about me. I am an improver by nature, and so sometimes I can be really hard on myself or overanalyze or want to be perfect all the time. So here I am in my unperfectness or my imperfectness, just wanting to do a live and just wanting to spend some time with y'all sharing um, a little bit of what I know. So thanks for joining again. Sorry so late. I will not keep you longer than necessary. But I did not receive any questions this week. So I can say our season just wrapped up and we are in the phases of kind of closing out the season and preparing for the summer and things like that. And so, what does closing out the season look like? It's basically an opportunity to check in with all the players, do exit meetings, make sure they turn in all their stuff, make sure we collect everything we need, renew scholarships, update scholarships, change scholarships, however you want to think about it. So having those conversations with coaches and then with each other as a staff, and then um, moving into like what does that look like with compliance. So that's kind of what's going on right now, as well as a lot of inventory. So I'm extremely. It's been a long day of numbers, and it's all good. It's a part of the process, and so we'll do some end of the year meetings here pretty soon, and a lot of our athletes are departing after they finish their finals. So, um, some reflections on the season, I would say. I think as a coach, I don't know if you guys know my story, but I've been coaching for over 20 years of my life. And I started coaching really when I was in high school. I started coaching high school rec basketball. One of my basketball coach was a really big mentor to me, and he basically mentioned to me how I would be just based on how I play the sport of basketball. Not that I wasn't good, but just that the way that I saw the game was different. Like how I analyzed the game, how I had a different perspective, how I anticipated things before they happened, how I managed the game. He gave me this insight, like, hey, you should really get into coaching. So he really influenced me at a very young age to get into it, and ever since then, this has been my life calling. And so, um, I, in 2021, well, actually in 2015, I started coaching college, but before that, I was coaching middle school basketball, high school softball, and then travel ball softball. I also was a travel ball director for a little bit, or a tournament director for a little bit for USSSA. I worked in minor league baseball, and then I transitioned into coaching college in 2015. So I moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico to California to coach at an NAIA school, Menlo College. And so at Menlo College, the coach Matt Lyle, he's a pretty well-known hitting coach for some people or he's called the hitting coach of social media. I don't know. Not to roll my eyes. Like he's a cool guy, but he's also just a lot. So, but after 1 year, he decided after I relocated to California, he decided he didn't want to drive the commute that it took to get to that job, even though he took the job knowing the commute. So that was a little bit irritating. But all things worked out. So I, after 1 year, applied for a Division II head coaching job, and I got the job. And it was the most treacherous experience, but also greatest learning experience of my life. Because from that moment on, I knew that I had to understand the player better, that athletes come to us or we come to them with trauma and drama and just a lot of things that are biases from previous coaching experiences or life experiences. So that was my first experience going into learning more about the human and the human behavior. So after 2 years there, I went back to Menlo College. I had to get an adult job, I called it, because I was getting married and I needed to kind of have responsibilities outside of just myself. So I started being associate director of admissions at Menlo College, and missed softball within the first 3 or 4 months. So I asked, could I please coach softball as well as be an associate director of admissions? And so they allowed me to do that. And so I did that for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And so in COVID, my wife and I moved back to Washington. I took on a job as a community college coach at Shoreline, and we did not have a season. So in that time frame, I just kind of trained those athletes. I still was able to get 2 athletes onto a 4-year school, but we really just developed them. And then the opportunity at the University of Washington came up. And so in 2021 to 2022, I coached at the University of Washington. I was a volunteer assistant coach, but as a volunteer assistant coach, I was getting paid more than I currently get paid. No, that's not true. I was getting paid more as a volunteer than most people who are volunteers around the country. So pretty cool experience. I got to run the camps, got to be immersed in Power Five softball at the highest level. I was the hitting coach, one of the hitting coaches, as well as the first base coach. So if you go back to 2021, 2022, you will see videos of me coaching first base with University of Washington. Unfortunately, that was not the best experience for me. So I took 2 years off of coaching the athlete as far as like with a specific team, and I went into consulting with programs. So I worked with a lot of programs, helped them build a lot of championship programs, including my current coach. I worked with her team that started their season 0-13, and I went in there. I worked with them for the entire year, and they ended up winning their conference and going to regionals for the first time in school history. So I had a lot of stories like that as a consultant, and then after 2 years, the climate of softball was changing and the college athletics was changing. So I said, I want to get back into college athletics. It's time. And I want to see if what I teach to teams really works. So I got back into it. And that's how I ended up at Hampton. So I don't know if anybody actually knew that story, but that is my background and what I do and where I've been. Um, and so being at Hampton has been great. And I will say, one of the things that I can really bank on in this process is recognizing that there are a lot of coaches that still don't understand the dynamic of coaching athletes of this generation. And I think like there needs to be a lot of training that needs to happen with trying to connect and relate to athletes of this generation. And I think that's not a dig on anybody. I just think like as coaches, we usually coach how we were coached and how we were taught. And so for me, in this process in my first year, I've learned a lot about the climate of athletes, and I learned a lot about like really what needs to happen in order to help them thrive in those environments. And I think that's why I'm here in this space with you guys as parents and want to help your players, because I truly believe that your players have to learn how to advocate for themselves. They have to have a sense, a level of confidence that can't be broken or unwavered by a coach's opinion from day to day. And I think like that is really crucial to the athlete's journey. So when I talk about them getting recruited and standing out, it's not because I want them to play at the level that they want to play at just to be there. Like I want them to succeed there. And I recognize the ins and outs that come with being a college athlete, and the pressure that comes with being a college athlete. And I think especially when you have new coaches, right? You have now new interpretations of what how things need to be, and how people want things. And if you are not strong in who you are, and not strong in what you believe in as your own confident person, as an athlete, it's going to be really hard to navigate that in the college coaching space. And I'm not specifically talking about Hampton. I'm just saying in general, and working with, seeing the atmosphere from this perspective. I know now that this is the reason why I do this work with the 360 athlete. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all every week for asking questions. Please continue to ask more and more questions, because it's the only way we're going to be able to grow and help your athlete really thrive when they get into those spaces is by asking these types of questions. Um, so there's that. So I wanted to make sure that I threw that in there first. And so I didn't get any questions. So I wanted to really fast, as I was thinking about the summer and what's coming up next, I kind of had this idea of doing a webinar here in a few weeks, where I break down the 5 things that I believe athletes need to have in order to be prepared for summer softball recruiting. So I will get a link out later this week for you guys to join that. But there are 5 things that I really believe athletes must have, need to have ready to maximize the opportunities in the recruiting process for the summertime. Summer is the one of the busiest times for recruiting. Fall is even busier, but summer is a really big one too. So what I would like for us to do today is I want to give you one of those tips of the 5. And so I want to show you the difference between how you use one versus another form of social media. So I'll say there are 5 things I think people need to have, players need to have in order to be prepared for the college experience or for the college recruiting process of the summer. And I think regardless of if you are in 8th grade or you are a senior, hopefully you're not a senior, but if you are, you gotta have these things. So I'll send the link with information for how to get those 5 things. But I want to share with you um, the one thing that I think is important, and that is a YouTube channel. And I think we kind of talked on this a little bit with NSR, and I talked about this before, but your athletes need to have one link where coaches can see multiple things about them in their process in a longer format. And this is an option outside of social media that gives your athlete an opportunity to kind of go in a little bit more detail with what they're working on, what they're doing, or show a little bit more in a highlight form, but in a longer form. So I have an athlete that I picked out that I want to share. I want to share her social media with you, and I'm going to start with her. I'm going to start with her Instagram, and then I'm sorry, I'm going to start with her YouTube channel, and then we will go back to her social media so you can see the difference. And so I know this athlete. I didn't ask her permission, but I coached her at the 14U level last year in Washington, so I think she'll be okay with it. If not, Kins, I'm sorry, it's too late. I'm doing it anyway. All right, y'all. So here it is. So by the way, I do these social media audits for teams in general. I mean, for players in general. So I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you signed up for my freebie, which is my recruiting timeline, once you get to the emails, there's an email that asks you if you want to get a social media audit. So I will audit your athlete's social media. And I'm not going to audit hers. I just want to show you hers today. So real fast, this is Kinsey. She is a 2029, so she's an 8th grade athlete, shortstop. She might even be in 7th grade. She's a young middle school athlete, but has understood the assignment when it comes to YouTube to the T. So I want to make sure that we show you this. And I'm sure it's been her parents behind her helping her out with this. Her mom also is a pretty high exec at a company, so she probably understands the assignment as well. But you all can do something very much like this too. So let's go right into her video or right into her YouTube channel. So her YouTube channel is set up. She has a nice cover page with her photo. You can tell she's a catcher by this photo. I can't exactly see the quote, but I can get the gist. Sometimes hustle is just you all alone, grinding, elevating, and evolving. And I can't see the worst. But that's a cool quote, and I think it stands out a lot. I also love her cover photo with a diamond and the confidence. Like they understood, like I said, the assignment. But what I really want to show you is a couple of just things that they've put together. She also is an athlete that plays basketball, so she has both of her videos in this space. But I wanted to show you specifically a highlight video from a tournament that she had. So this is why I like YouTube, because these videos are about anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes. And I think if you try to use this on YouTube, on Instagram or social media, you're going to have less success. So I like this because if I want to see more, I can see more. And I also like that she's able to kind of elaborate on what she's doing in this space. So now she's saying how she had to basically trust her process a little bit more, right? And just kind of trust her training. And so I liked what she said in her little description. But let's just take a little bit of the video here. Good cover photo with her picture, her number, right? Her name. And I just think this is really in her social media that you can find. So I really like that. So I'm going to just show a little bit of the video. Again, this is a high level, but I would say Ken's is a contact hitter who is working on becoming a power hitter. She's still growing in her strength. Okay, but I do like how I do like how she has what she's doing in these videos here. So very good. We'll show you a little bit more. Cool. And so one of her things that I'm gonna stop sharing this. One of the things that Ken's has been really trying to focus on is being a clutch hitter in clutch moments. And so if you saw the first 4 or 5 clips, it was a hit and as RBI. And so what she's doing in her YouTube channel is showing that continuously to coaches. And so why is that different than social media? Again, with the social media, you could probably put one of those clips as your post and utilize them over time and still be very successful with this process. But if you want to give coach a big picture of what you do, you make the videos a little bit longer and you put them on YouTube, right? I even like on YouTube to use more longer at bats. And if you're working through something like, hey, I hit a change up in 3-2 count, like that's giving you a little bit opportunity to like see your process as a approach to hitting, especially as a coach like myself, a hitting coach. I do like to know, can you get out of a 3-2 count or come back from a 0-2 count and beat the 0-2 count, right? So you can utilize YouTube for some of those sort of things. But remember, I would say social media is the beginning phases to wanting to learn more, the identifying piece, the thing that we look at to then say, where do I learn more about this player? And so if then she puts the link to her YouTube channel, and then now what happens is I go to YouTube channel and I can see a whole plethora of highlights from what she does. I also found out that she plays basketball from that, right? So I already knew she played basketball, but like if I was a coach that didn't know that, this would be an example of her doing that as well. So since I didn't have any questions, I thought I would just kind of show you this YouTube channel. And I would say, do you have recognitions about music choices on their profile? Good question. No, I would say though that it should probably be clean. So but we recognize that they're athletes, and I know Instagram allows you to use music from their profile. So I think use them if it's free. Just make sure they find the edited version or a version that doesn't have cussing. So just because most coaches don't care, but some coaches do. So make sure we don't want to disqualify ourselves unnecessarily in this process. So good question. So yeah. So the difference between that, I'll just real fast share her Instagram so you can see the difference. Really, really fast. And then I'll let you guys go. All right, so what will be different about her YouTube from her social media is, again, these will be more shorter clips. But what I like about it is this profile picture, and this might be one of the things that I say of the 5 things your athlete needs to have going into summer. Hit, but they also need to make sure that they have video that represents the things that they're doing. So I think one of the final things I'll say about this is I think a lot of athletes, when they're doing these videos, they want to make sure they have a composition of like 8 to 10 clips in one reel. And I would say break that SHIT up so you have more content to share. Put 3 clips in one, put 3 clips in another, put 3 clips in another. And now you have, 4 or 5 posts versus one long post. So allow YouTube to be the place where those things get longer. You keep them all together. But on social media, if you got to be consistent with posting 2 or 3 times a week, like use the clips of those longer clips to help your athletes out. So I wanted to show you that. I love the videos. I'm not going to go into the evaluation because I do this with people for free, for a little bit of cost, so we'll do that. But this is a difference from her YouTube to her Instagram. So anyway, that is what I got right now. Anybody else have any questions? And I'll let you guys go. Thanks for jumping on. Sorry about the technical difficulties today. Um, if you're interested in learning more, I'll get the link for the 5 things webinar out to you guys tomorrow. I got to create it. And then if anybody wants social media audit, I'll also put that in the group so you have it as well. If you want that for your daughter, and I can give you some tips. I've already done a few on here, so that's pretty cool. And I have 2 that we're going to be doing them soon. So from what I've heard, they've been pretty beneficial. So if anyone has any other questions or thoughts to that, let me know. But besides that, thank y'all. I know it's already late. Appreciate everything you guys are doing, showing up, and we'll catch you guys soon. Peace.